Hey, welcome to this LinkedIn Live. I am here with Joe. Joe is the man, and I am excited about this interview because Joe is in charge of a lot of cool things, and he's got BrainShare. He's a business mentor, and I'm excited to know what's going on in Joe's world and the experiences that Joe has seen, and he can share that with us all. So, welcome here, Joe.
Well, it's my honor and privilege to be here. Thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you and your audience. It's a pleasure, and hopefully we can give some golden nuggets to help your audience create a business that works without you.
Yes, awesome. Well, that's what this is all about. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about what you do, what you're about.
Okay, so let me go backwards a little bit. I retired in 2008 and got really bored after about 18 months and said, okay, what am I going to do? And I was walking down the El Camino here in Silicon Valley and saw all these businesses having issues during the Great Recession. I said, well, what can I do to help? And that's when I started down my path of, okay, what can I do to help the business community? So I do a lot with the chamber, but specifically, it's how to build a business. Most people know and do what they really do well, kind of like Michael Gerber talks about, and like Robert Kiyosaki. In other words, there's lots of books up there you can read. But they don't know how to build the business from the foundation up. And so what we focus on is the foundation and then building it up from there. So that's what BrainShare is all about. Is building a business is like building a house.
Yeah.
You start with that foundation, that goal setting. When are you going to sell the business? What does it look like? Your time allocations. That's what the BrainShare, the book, is all about. Because when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you got to be the CEO and the VP of Ops and the CFO and your head's going to explode. So how do you leverage that with NLP techniques and some modalities to create efficiencies to get more time in your business to focus on what you need to focus on to achieve your goal? And then your standards is all about consistency of your product, and you got to know your financial numbers. Then you can start get into sales and marketing, which is your target market, unique selling proposition, guarantees, your tactical strategic marketing, your sales training. It's amazing to me how many entrepreneurs out there have not had some sales training.
Yeah.
It just amazes me. You're selling on everything, so get some sales training. I don't care who it's with. They're all, there's a lot of good ones out there. And then you systemize and put your team together and then look at your exit strategy based on your initial role. That's what we do here at BrainShare. And BrainShare is about those modalities of, hey, when you're thinking like a CEO, but you're trying to do marketing, you're going to not do a good job. So you got to put your different hats on.
Yeah, totally. No, I love it. Yeah, that's I love the whole way that you internalize everything that's going on, right? And so you're basically helping people build a business with the exit in mind. Is that could I put that in a nutshell?
Yeah, exit or it's your business. It's not mine.
Yeah.
You decide whether it's the exit strategy or expansion strategy or giving it to your kids. But have something in mind. You can change it as you move forward. But if you don't know where you're going, you might end up there, not where you don't know where. So start with the end in mind.
Who is this for? Like, what type of entrepreneur, or could it be anybody? What type of people are you serving?
So anybody that's looking for help. So my goal is to help 10,000 businesses over the next year. And I do that now that I've got the online system going. You can kind of go yourself. If you want some individual help, we can do that. So everybody's business is unique, but they're the same. Mm-hmm. So depending on where you're at in that space and time, we kind of put together a solution for you. If you want to do it yourself, great. If you want to read the books, I can recommend books for you. Everybody's a little different. But where I found the sweet spot is the business that's been in business about 2 years and realize it's a lot harder than you think.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot to do. And then they're really willing to embrace, okay, what do I need to know? What do I know? What don't I know? And where do I need to learn to get to that next phase in my business?
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, that makes perfect sense. So if it could be any kind of business, so it could be a local business or an online business and anything in between.
anything in between. I've worked with, and geographically, I've got clients in Singapore. I've got clients in South America. It doesn't matter where you're located and or what type of business. You know your business better than I will ever know your business.
Yeah.
I know business, and my job is to walk you through that process of building it. So I'm leveraging what you know inside your business. I know how to build it. And we
Yes.
walk through that every step at a time, one bite at a time.
Yep.
Because I mean, there's 13 courses in my online system, 200 lessons. Take it one bite at a time. It's okay.
Yeah. So it's like it's building blocks, helping them have that building block, so that just like you said, the foundation. Right.
You start with the foundation. If you go up above and you start building it before you're ready, the foundation will collapse sooner or later. And I see it all the time. I mean, a guy named David Packard once told me, of Hewlett Packard, once told me, more companies die of indigestion than of starvation. And I didn't believe it until I did this. And it's amazing. You find something good and you start doing it, but if you don't have that foundation, you're going to have problems as you move forward.
So you kind of mentioned this at the beginning. You mentioned about your why, but tell me a little bit more about that why. What really inspired you to turn this into a business where solutions that will help people?
Well, here's a number. I like numbers. 87% or whatever number you want to use of businesses don't make it past year 2. It doesn't have to be that way. I mean, I walk down the El Camino and I'm seeing these businesses not make it because they just don't understand the building blocks. And it makes me cry. I mean, my first year doing this, I watched 3 businesses go out of business. It doesn't have to be that way. And it affects not only them, but their families and everything around them. It really doesn't have to be that way when you understand. Let's build it from the bottom up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when you had this idea and you realized you could help people, like how did you go about like getting in front of the right people and making this come together where you knew that your system could start helping people?
Well, first of all, I started off thinking, because I came from a Fortune 50 company, thinking, I know. Guess what? It took me 2 years to realize running a startup or a small business is very different than a Fortune 50 company. Yeah. And your MBA programs focus on, hey, here's a case study for a Fortune 50 company. Most 99% of businesses are not Fortune 50 companies or Fortune 500 companies. There's a different mentality and modality that you have to be in to build that business from the start up. And it's a very different mindset. Everything's different. And it took me a long time to understand that and then start really helping businesses. So, and that's my passion, is watching a business owner that's working 60, 70 hours and not going anywhere to working 30 hours in the businesses. And they got the option of being there or not. And they're employing a lot of people. I mean, businesses employ people. That's what runs our economy. That's what runs everything. So that's my passion, is to help them and give them the tools that they need to be successful.
So let's go back to that first, I don't know, maybe the first client or that first person or that first company that you were starting to help. What was going on with all that? And just like the light bulb moment went on, like, this is working.
Well, I'll tell you the horror story first.
Okay.
I had a client that came to me running a $250 million, a big business.
Yeah.
But the owners had some medical problems, and he kind of had to start backing out, and the business was starting to decline. And I said, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to take it? And the wife said, well, I want it like it was before. And guess what? It's really hard to kind of just say, okay, let's make it like it was before, because the world's changed. It was in the 2009, 2010, the construction business was crashing, and she wasn't willing to embrace that. And I cried because I couldn't help her, and I watched them go into bankruptcy. And I said, I don't want that to happen. So that's like, well, what can I do to help that? And getting engaged earlier and say, okay, let's build this thing from the ground up. And then I've had clients that came to me early, started doing this, and now they're running at $20, $50 million businesses, and they're not working 60, 70 hours. They're
Yep.
working 20, 30 if
Yep.
they have, and they don't have to. That's what I mean. I get goosebumps when I think about those stories.
Yeah, for sure. Do you help companies mostly that would be having have employees, or do you help those that have their solopreneurs? Tell me, let's walk a little through that.
So to get a business that works without you, sooner or later, you're going to have employees.
Yeah.
So
Chat GPT doesn't fix everything, right?
Yeah. So like you could do a lot with AI, but guess what? Sooner or later, you're going to have resources in the company.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of those Vern Harnish calls valleys of death.
Okay.
And scaling up. Fantastic book, by the way. If you haven't read it, must read, along with Traction by Gino Wickman.
Well, what's the book name again and the author? So we got it.
Scaling Up by Vern Harnish.
Okay, got it.
Hey, this a couple of Scaling Up, Vern Harnish. This talks about the valleys of death.
I love it.
Traction by Gino Wickman. Must reads. E-Myth Revisited. Must reads.
Yep.
If you want to earn more, learn more. Life is pretty simple.
Yep.
So there's tons of resources out there. You just got to know what to grab when. And that's one of the things that I help with, because there's over 400 books here in my libraries. Which book do you start with?
Oh,
That's, I've been doing this for almost 15 years and saying, okay, this is what you need today and this is what you need tomorrow, and walking through that path. Because, going and reading Blue Ocean when you're not ready to do marketing doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that I specialize in, is saying, okay, here's what we need today, tomorrow, the next week, and putting that roadmap together to get there.
Yes.
But so I like it when there's like that 10 people space is a valley of death, because you got to put a new management team in place to manage the employees.
Yep.
When you're kind of a solo part, you can manage up to 8, 10 people, but then it's a different mindset. You got to move your brain up, because what got you here won't get you there. Marshall Goldsmith, by the way. So lots of different thinking processes. So my job is to identify where you're at. Here's where we need to go. Here's the resources to get there.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Oh, that helps. Great. Yeah, definitely. And so now I'm thinking now a little bit more in the part of your process of when you're working with somebody. How when you jump in with somebody brand new and you're trying to unravel the bag of snakes, let's say, what kind of a time frame, or what does that look like when you're working with them? How much time does it take for you to kind of like, okay, now this is where you need to go? You know what I mean? Like, for you to just really take in, following what they got going on, and for you to come, okay, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3.
In my first couple of years, it took a really long time. Now in about 2 hours, I can get a really good grasp of where they're at, what they need, and where they're going. And it kind of it follows almost a standard footprint of what's your goals? Do you have your goal setting done? Yeah. What's your time allocations? How are you allocating your resources, your personal resources, your business resources? How are you allocating those? What's the standards in your business? How are you ensuring consistency? And do you know your numbers? I mean, financials are your business report card. Mm-hmm. So if you're not getting an A, what do we need to do to understand the financials? Not necessarily to have the profit, but understand them.
Yeah.
That's the 4 cornerstones. Once we get that nailed down, then we move up into target market, unique selling proposition, putting together your sales training, your marketing. And that's when you get stabilized in your business. A lot of you entrepreneurs out there probably have the feast and famine. Oh, I'm rich. Oh, I'm rich. I'm rich. Oh, I'm starving. Top ramen and mac and cheese. Oh, steak and lobster. And you get that feast famine scenario. Once you get the market positioning going, then you get that stabilization. And then we move into start optimizing and systemizing and putting the right team together and moving it up from there. But most of my time is spent in that foundation piece, because the rest of it is much easier to build. That first part is the hard part, especially time allocations.
Yes. Okay. Because that was my next question, was what would you spend the most time in? Now you said it's the foundational. So So in the
Absolutely.
foundation, in the foundation, I know you've talked about this already beginning, but let's just what takes the longest time for you to work in that area? And why is that so important?
It's the time allocations, because it changes and evolves, and you've got to have a system in place to change your time allocation. So when you start out, you're probably spending 30% on operations or higher. What percentage of your time are you spending on marketing? What percentage of your time and resources are on sales? What percentage is on finance? There's a lot to do running a business. It's not easy. It's the hardest thing you will ever do. It's a lot easier to go get a job.
Oh, totally.
And I tell people that all the time. And I've worked with a lot of people who says, you know what? Go get a job, because this may not be for you. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, is to run a business.
Yeah.
Understand and embrace that. It's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. Yeah.
By far. So, but that time allocation is definitely the hardest. Setting the goals, that's a skill you can develop, and you continue doing that. The time allocations will evolve. Putting the standards in place in the financials. Financials are just numbers, man. You got a calculator, I can teach you how to do.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
And then the marketing and sales is not hard when you get your foundation down and you're allocating the right amount of time to that.
Yes. So do you think anybody can be a business owner? Anybody can be an entrepreneur?
I think if they have the passion for it. So, I mean, it's like, Jim Collins, Good to Great, and the Hedgehog Effect. What are you passionate about? What drives your economic engine, and what can you be the best in the world at? When you look at that and say, yeah, that's what I want to do, boom, go for it. There's a lot of people out there. My wife will never be a business owner. She doesn't want the risk. She's not an entrepreneur. She's not a risk taker. It's not for her. Having a job is the right thing. It's not for everybody. But if it is for you, then learn how to build that business from the ground up. And go for it, man, because there's nothing more rewarding.
So in the online space, we see all kinds of ads, all kinds of gurus telling you can make 50,000 a month, you can make millions here, you can do this, and you can be an affiliate doing that, and so there's this buzz of that everybody wants to be a business owner, right? So when you work with somebody who was going off of that buzz, and then they realize this is a lot harder than it looks, and they really just aren't cut out for it, how do you help them if they're just not cut out for this?
They have to come up with it. They have to decide. Well, and one of the questions I ask, is it a hobby, a job, or a business? And they're like, well, it's a business, of course. And I said, well, let's define that. If you have to be there, it's a job. If you love it so much, it doesn't matter whether you make money or not, it's a hobby. And if you want to create a profitable business that works without you, that's a successful business. And you have to walk down that process. But know what you're building. I've had clients come and say, hey, you got a hobby. And they get all mad at me and call me back a couple days ago. Guess what, Joe? I do have a hobby. It's okay. That's right. It's a hobby. It's okay. Or I have a job. It's okay. It's your business, your life, not mine. All I can do is show you the options. So it's okay. But if you decide to go down that path, write this one down. It's about focus. Follow one course until success.
I love it.
And avoid SOS, shiny object syndrome. I've seen so many businesses. Oh, money over there. Oh, money over there. Money.
Yeah.
Guess what? Follow one course. Put your plan in place. Work your plan your work, and do it. And things will make it. And do your check-ins. It's not like there's millions and millions of businesses that are successful out there. Follow the path.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins talks about this all the time.
Yeah, well, and that seems to be kind of the downside of the entrepreneur. They see too many shiny objects. It's kind of like you could almost say it's a negative connotation to be called an entrepreneur because they look at so many shiny objects.
Well, there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a wantrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay, and Mark Cuban talks about that. I love it when he does that because I see a lot of entrepreneurs out there and very few real entrepreneurs that are focused, understand what they want to do, put the plan in place, and work the plan. And when you do, great things happen. When you have shiny object syndrome, nothing happens.
So let's say you get a hold of an entrepreneur, business owner, that they've reached out to you and they've been in business their whole life, but they've never really seen success, but they know it's there. They believe it's there. They've got little wins here and there, but they don't have the business like what you're describing where it works without you. What's driving that person to continue to keep believing in himself, and how can you see that you can just come in and just make their day, help them everything they've been missing?
So we evaluate what they've done right, what they've done not so right, what they've learned, and how are we going to get to where you want to go. It's all about, what do you want out of your business?
Yeah.
If you know what you want and you don't know what you want, then define it.
Yeah.
You can go in with Simon Sinek's Know Your Why. You talked about that a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good stuff, and then put the plan in place step by step. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the people I've seen that haven't done that are the shiny object syndrome people. And guess what? Until you get out of that modality, you're going to struggle. I had one client that had 10 businesses and none of them were making money.
Yeah.
Guess what? Somebody told me you got to have 10 different revenue streams. Well, yeah, but you got to have one first that's successful, and then add it on, and then add it on. You can't do it. Most people, I tried. I failed. I had like 4 businesses when I started. I'm going to do it. Guess what? I failed miserably and almost went out of business until I got focused. And my mentor told me exactly that. You can make money almost anything you decide to do when you do it really, really well, but you can't do everything really well. Figure out what you do, focus on that, and drive. And most everything else is noise. Yeah.
No, that's right. You can make money on almost any solution as long as you can just focus on it. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So it's like, should I do this or should I do this? That's up to you. I could give you tools on how to make a decision. Yeah. There's a weighted decision makes or a quantitative pros and cons analysis. All that stuff is in our systems. But make a decision, stick to that decision, and drive hard and adjust as you go.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Business is supposed to be fun.
Yeah. That's right. So let's talk about your business right now. Let's just talk a little bit about your business. With what you're doing, what do you find to be in your business the most challenging part?
Getting someone to embrace the change. Mm. Because humans are like electricity and water. We go with the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so embracing that, okay, you know what? I've got to change the way I run my day. Mm-hmm. I've got to change the way I'm running the operations. I got to make these changes. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Albert Einstein, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So making that change and embracing that, like AI, people that are embracing AI right now are just, wow, what a difference in business. I mean, it's changed the landscape of a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ones that aren't willing to change, or the ones that already know everything.
Yeah.
It's like, if you already know everything, don't call me, because I don't have the energy to do that with you anymore. But if you're willing to learn and willing to say, hey, let's walk this down, because most people know the answers. My job is to pull it out of their brain, put it on paper so we can go do it.
I've heard that quote many times. I believe in what you just said many times. It's just interesting to me how it's already in the mind. It's already there. People already know what to do. Why is that so hard to implement what you already know what to do?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
They don't allocate the time to do it.
I'll always do this later. I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do this next week. I'll do it by the end of the year.
I'll put it on my list.
Yeah.
And that list keeps growing and growing. If you take and say, okay, I need to do this, let me put 20 minutes on the calendar to do that, you get it done.
Yeah.
Or, it's a 2-hour exercise. Break it into chunks. The brain thinks in 15 to 20-minute chunks. Break it down, put it on your calendar, allocate the time to do it, and stuff starts happening. When you don't allocate the time to do it, nothing happens. It is simple.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it is simple.
No, I agree. I agree. It's not easy, but it is that simple. You know, how can you inspire somebody to look at it that way? That's the part that they're missing, is that allocation of this, actually just implementing it. I'm going to do this right now. Like an entrepreneur, and I'll just try to say this quickly. An entrepreneur has so many problems they're trying to solve. There's so many things going on. But what they lack sometimes is the thing that's going to make them successful is just one problem, not all these other 10 problems, right?
So that's theory of constraints. That's the goal by Goldratt of identifying that big, your business is like a big hose. What's the biggest kink in that hose? Identifying that biggest kink and getting that out, because all the little kinks aren't going to make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So identifying that biggest kink, or that constraint that is the biggest, focus on that. That's the one that matters. All the other ones don't. And identifying that is not easy.
Yeah.
And it changes, because as soon as you fix that one, there's another kink, right? There's another kink. So it continues to evolve. Embracing that methodology is another key.
Yeah.
I had one client say, "Oh, as soon as I fix this problem, everything's going to be great." I started laughing. She's like, "What?" I said, "There's always going to be another constraint. If you're going to really grow the business, there's always another kink in the hose. Identifying it, fix it, identify it, fix it, open them up."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. I love it. I love your energy. I love it how you have this. I could just tell you got this inside look of the bag of snakes, let's say, and how it just trips people up, and you can just sort through it. It looks like you like sorting through it with people.
Oh, well, when you break it down, we can only do one thing at a time. Let's do that, do it really well, and then figure out what's next. And here's what I love to do is people say, "Well, I got all this stuff to worry about." Fantastic. Let's put it on the roadmap. If it's in your brain, it's taking energy away. Yeah. We're going to worry about that in November. We're going to worry about that in December. We're going to worry about that in January. What do we need to focus on today? We'll fix that. And then, just like walking down the road, it's like, running a long distance race. All you got to worry about is that next step.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to get there faster than you think.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long do you work with people? What's your time frame?
I've got everything from one call. "Hey, here's where you need to go do it. Call me back in 6 months." To I've got a client that I've worked with for 7 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right, so it really depends on where you're at. Well, it's your business, not mine. My job is to help you continue to grow and get there.
Yeah.
And some businesses need 1 hour. "Oh, here's what I need. Thanks. Get out of my way," and they'll run. Some people, you kind of got to keep walking with them, and it's what they need, not what I want.
Yeah. Gotcha. So what is the best way for people to connect with you, to get your resources, to be able to understand how it is that you can help them?
Go to brainshare.online and look at we've got a 13-week course. We've got a subscription service that you get access to everything. Or just schedule a call with me and we'll talk about your business and what makes the most sense for you. I'm more than happy to spend, in half an hour, I can usually identify, okay, go do this, and this, and then call me back in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
brainshare.online. It's right there.
Okay, so it's not .com, it's brainshare.online.
.online.
And the resources are there. Yeah, perfect.
The resources are there. Just click schedule an appointment. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how to get you there in the most expedient manner and the most cost-effective manner.
Yeah.
You would not believe how many times I recommend SBA.gov, which is, they've got a great business plan template. They've got some great templates. You don't need to go spend a ton of money to start a business. You got to have money to make money. Baloney.
Yeah.
You got to just know what to do.
Yeah.
And my job is to help you get there.
Well, you sound like somebody that has resources, that has the help. You sound like you have the passion. So I strongly recommend anybody looking for help with their business to check check you out and see how you can help them in their business.
It's my honor and privilege to help the world, help the universe the more businesses that are being successful, the better our economy, the better it is for my kids, my grandkids, and the universe. So let's go help people.
Oh, totally. I mean,
Zig Ziglar said it best: "Want to make $1 million? Help 1 million people."
yeah.
But bless his soul,
Yes, totally. Well, Joe, this has been great chatting with you. I could talk for hours about business and everything you're doing here. So I appreciate you taking the time to go over this and share what you're doing in the business space. It's much appreciated, and I just know that you've been helping out so many people. So thank you.
My honor and privilege, and thank you for allowing me and spending a little time with me, because time is our most valuable asset. You can make more money, you can't make more time.
That's right. Totally. Oh, that's a great way to end this session. Yeah, we've got to remember that. You cannot get your time back. So again, Joe, thanks again so much. We'll be in touch. Check out Joe at brainshare.online. See you now.